Bones and All is a 2022 American romantic horror film directed by Luca Guadagnino from a screenplay by David Kajganich, based on the 2015 novel Bones and All by Camille DeAngelis. The film stars Taylor Russell and Timothee Chalamet as a pair of young cannibals who flee together on a road trip across the country and develop feelings for each other. In 1988 Virginia, teenager Maren yearly sneaks out to attend a sleepover with her classmates, where she bites through a girl's finger, partially severing it. When she returns covered in blood, her father Frank swiftly relocates them to Maryland. Shortly after Maren's 18th birthday, Frank abandons her, leaving behind some cash, her birth certificate, and a cassette tape. On the tape, he recounts the story of Maren's first cannibalistic episode, when she killed her babysitter at the age of 3. As similar incidents continued to occur throughout the years, although Frank helped his daughter evade consequences, he grew increasingly anguished over her apparent lack of remorse. He ends the message by stating his hope that she will someday learn to overcome her urges. Maren decides to head to Minnesota, which is listed as the birthplace of her mother, Janelle, who left when Maren was an infant. She is approached at a bus station in Columbus by Sully, an eccentric man and fellow eater, who teaches her that their kind can identify one another by scent. He leads her to a house wherein the owner, an elderly woman, is near death. Though conflicted at first, Maren awakens to find Sully devouring the woman's corpse and joins him. Sully expresses interest in taking Maren under his wing, but she flees the house soon after. While shoplifting supplies in Indiana, Maren defends a woman from being harassed by an intoxicated male customer. A young man named Lee antagonizes the customer, baiting him into leaving the store. Maren later spots Lee outside, having just fed off the man. Stealing his victim's truck, Lee offers to bring Maren along, agreeing to help her find her mother after they spend the night at the man's vacant house. As they embark on a cross-country road trip, the two fall in love. During a brief stay in Lee's hometown in Kentucky, Maren notices his unwillingness to disclose certain aspects of his past, such as his father's absence and the reason why Lee avoids being spotted around town. His younger sister, Kayla, who is unaware of his true nature, chastises him for his constant departures and unannounced arrivals. As they set up camp one evening, Maren and Lee are approached by what appears to be another pair of eaters, Jake and Brad. However, Maren is revolted when Brad discloses that he does not share the other's cravings, instead choosing to engage in cannibalism. Lee is taunted by Jake, who also talks about the intensity of consuming a body in its entirety, though Lee and Maren are skeptical that such an act is even possible. Unnerved, they drive away once the men have fallen asleep. After Maren expresses hunger during a stop at a local carnival, Lee cruises a male booth worker. Luring the worker inside a cornfield, Lee slits his throat while Maren watches, before inviting her to join him. Once the couple has feasted on the body, they drive to the man's address and discover their victim was married and had a family, leading to an argument where Lee tries to dissuade Maren from her guilt, defending their urges as an inescapable part of who they are. Maren is able to locate the home of her maternal grandmother, Barbara, who had no prior knowledge of her existence. Barbara informs her that Janelle, who she and her husband adopted at birth, voluntarily admitted herself into a psychiatric hospital in Fergus Falls several years before. Maren then finally reunites with her mother, who she is shocked to find has self-cannibalized her own hands. A nurse gives Maren a letter that Janelle wrote to her in case they were to ever meet again, which concludes with Janelle's belief that Maren would be better off dead than living as a monster. Janelle proceeds to attack her daughter before being restrained. Refusing to go down the same path as her mother, Maren leaves while Lee is asleep, soon being approached by Sully, who has been stalking her. She turns down his offer to become companions, causing him to angrily curse at her before departing. Once he realizes Maren is gone, a devastated Lee decides to return home. Maren eventually makes her way back to Kentucky. She runs into Kayla, who reveals that, on the night of her and Lee's alcoholic, abusive father's disappearance, he beat both of his children before mysteriously vanishing while Kayla ran to get the police. Having been initially considered the prime suspect, Lee was cleared once it was proven that the blood found on him was his own. Maren and Lee rekindle their relationship, deciding to travel westward with no clear destination. Lee tells Maren that he realized his father was also an eater when he bit Lee during their scuffle, confessing that he hid his father away before feeding off him and that he enjoyed the thrill it gave him. He tearfully asks Maren if she thinks he is a bad person, but she declares her love for him. They vow to abstain from cannibalism and attempt to lead a normal life together. Sometime later, they are shown to be living happily in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Maren returns home one day to find Sully has broken into their apartment, and he pins her to the bed at knife point, bemoaning her past rejections. After Lee arrives, they succeed in killing Sully, but Lee is fatally wounded in the struggle. As he lies in her arms, Lee expresses his wish for Maren to eat him as he dies, bones and all. Maren frantically refuses at first, but eventually gives in. And the movie ends here. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Subscribe to KTrecaps channel to see more videos.